Well, hey guys, what's up? It's your boy, one and only AR Legends, and yeah guys, today I am back with another series for you guys, which is gonna be what if Naruto was neglected by his family and mocked by his sisters and adopted brother. So yeah guys, it is gonna be really OP of a series. So hopefully you guys will like it. And yeah guys, before starting this, I would like to apologize to all of you guys for not uploading in the previous month. It is just that my exams had begun and I had to prepare for my exams as well. So that was the reason that I did not have much time to upload videos. But do not worry, since now I have time, so I will try my best to make as much videos for you guys as possible and make it up to you guys. And yeah guys, before starting this video, I would like to tell you guys about my new manhwa recap channel. I have uploaded some videos on it, but it is really a new channel, so hopefully guys we will be able to support it, and the link is in the description below. So please guys, please subscribe to that channel and watch some video. Hopefully you guys will like it, and tell me if you guys have some ideas about manhwa recap or about this channel as well. So yeah guys, before starting this video, I would like to make a request to all of you guys who are watching this video. If you guys are new to the channel or if you guys have not subscribed yet, please guys do so. It would be really helpful to me, as I want to reach 13k subscribers, and you guys subscribing would be really appreciated. So please guys subscribe. And yeah guys, the link of my Instagram is in the description below. So please follow me on Instagram. So without wasting any more of your time, let us start the story. So I'm gonna start my story with you can say a plain looking room. In this room, there was only bed and table, nothing more than that, and only some clothes. And only one figure was present in this room. This was none other than our hero of the story, Naruto, who for whatever reason was feeling intense headache for last hour. He wanted to scream, he wanted to yell, but something was stopping him, and he knew even if he did, nothing would change. Only thing he will get but even more scolding. But suddenly his eyes snapped open, and his normal blue eyes turned into pitch black with red pupil inside of it, and a smirk came to his face as Naruto stood up, looking towards his hand. The memories started to merge. Well, it seemed that my gamble has finally played off. Wouldn't you agree, Kurama? As Naruto opened his eyes once again, and this time he was seemed to be in a, you can say, place that was run down by dark fire and lightning in the sky, and one gigantic figure of a fox could be seen. As Kurama, who was previously known as the Night-Tail Fox, could no longer be considered just a mere tail beast. No, behind him were like hundreds of tails waving in the air, and Kurama looked towards Naruto. Well, it seemed that your last-ditch gamble paid off, Naruto. You have been descended back into the first realm from the ninth realm. And it seemed that you have also turned back in time. As Naruto gritted his teeth, he still remembered how miserably he died by the hands of his so-called family, and how he had descended into the second realm. That was purely by luck, but even there he was mocked and banished because he had a soul of a so-called demon inside of him. He was banished to the demon realm, but working hard there, he was able to ascend to the demon emperor, and he led an invasion of all the 9 realms. He was able to destroy and conquer them all only by working together and making a huge trap for him. They were able to try to seal him off in the 9th realm, but he was able to use last trump card to turn back in time and mark his word. This time, he's not gonna have mercy on anyone, especially his so-called family. He was always looking forward to killing them. As a smirk at that, as an evil smirk came to his, you can say, face, while in the outside, Naruto's eyes were suddenly snapped open. As he looked towards his body, the memories of this time period started to merge violently in his mind. As a smirk came to his face, he could feel his demonic energies merging with this body. It will not be too long that all of his energy will return back to him, and this so-called realm, the first realm, was nothing to him. It was so weak. Only the most powerful being here was what? Jubi? Naruto has seen far more powerful demons than Jubi. That would nothing be, just child's play. So that was the gap of power. as Naruto looked towards his body, as all the injuries on his body were rapidly healing, and he could feel how his body has started to get stronger and started to get used to the demonic energy that was now running in his body. As a smirk came to his face, suddenly the door of the room was kicked open and one figure stepped forward. This was none other than his so-called older sister, Mito. Naruto had three sisters and one adopted brother. The oldest one was Mito and her twin Narumi, and then it was Naruto and Naruto who were twins as well, and the so-called adopted brother Menma, as Naruto scoffed at it. After all, the history, he remembered it clearly. He was born as a twin, but kidnapped by Orochimaru, who decided to, you can say, perform some experiments on him, and just then he remembered he has to get rid of Orochimaru as well, even though his experiments were quite useful to him in the demon realm. But he quickly shook his head. He still remembered how Orochimaru had made a child by using the DNA of Minato and Kushina. That was none other than Menma, who was rescued, while on the other hand, he was, you can say, in the hands of Orochimaru for years, but he was also rescued after some years, but he was always looked at by suspicion. Even his own parents did not trust him, even though he had tried everything in his previous life, but he was always looked at suspiciously, mocked and framed by his so-called brother as Naruto scoffed at it. Soon enough, he will have his revenge as he looked towards the damn bitch who had entered into his room without his permission. If it was in the demon realm, he would have completely destroyed her within a blink of an eye. As Mito glared towards Naruto, Naruto, you have gone too far. This time, you have even bullied Menma and stole from Dad's library. You have to pay for your crimes. As she quickly tried to slap Naruto, but to her utter shock and surprise, Naruto quickly grabbed her hand and looked towards her with pure hatred in his eyes. Mito was taken aback by what she had seen. After all, Naruto, from the day he was brought back, was always trying to curry favor with them, and she had always looked at him with suspicion. After all, he was in the hand of Orochimaru for how many years? 6 years, and how could he be trusted after that? After all, for all they know, Orochimaru had brainwashed him, and he was only using this to, you can say, attack their family, and he had always had hatred against her precious brother Menma. So how could she trust him? As she glared towards him, hey, how dare you to look at me like that? You will apologize to me right now. Otherwise, today is the day you will be disowned by our family. After all, Dad had already had enough of you, as well as Mom. And bullying Menma, you have gone too far, Naruto. As Naruto looked towards the damn bitch. You know, Mito, I always thought that you are truly a bitch. At this, Mito, who was, you could say, expecting an apology and a look of fear in his eyes, was truly taken aback. You know, Mito, as Naruto started to step forward towards her, I have waited for years, no, centuries, for this day to have my revenge on you people. Do you honestly believe that I care about this so-called family? Suddenly, Mito's eyes widened. You can say, area around her started to change violently. One moment she was in a room with Naruto, and the next moment she seems to be in a place where there was nothing but darkness. And darkness, she was confused and scared at the same time. What was going on here? Was Naruto truly showing his true colors now? Was he truly had enough? This was the work of Orochimaru. She was sure of it, as she was preparing for anything. After all, she was a Jonin, and she was not scared of Naruto. But the next thing she saw truly and utterly scared her. A gigantic figure which was so humongous that even the QB would not be as big as a single thumb of this figure. This was none other than Kurama, and he was that gigantic. He had hundreds of tails behind him, and on top of his head, Naruto was standing there. Even though he was so far away, she could see him clearly in this utter darkness. As Naruto started to laugh, well then, dear sister, I suppose it is time for you to become my slave. As Mito was truly shocked, she was about to make hand signs, ready to do anything, as she was sure that this was nothing but a genjutsu. But to her shock, she was not able to move whatsoever. Even her chakra was no longer accessible to her, as Naruto quickly floated down and put his hand on Mito's eyes. And Mito's head, suddenly memories of, you can say, centuries poured into the head of Mito, who was confused for a second but suddenly had a look of utter shock on her face. After all she had known in her whole life was nothing more than elemental nation, and now the knowledge of the nine realms, the knowledge of the demon realm, and the knowledge what Naruto had done over centuries, no, thousands of years has come to her mind. She could not believe it and she wanted to scream, but it was already too late. Now, become my slave. As the seal appeared on the head of Mito while in the outside world. Only a second has passed and a seal appeared on Mito's head and disappeared at the same time as Mito knelt down. My lord, what instructions do you have for me? As Naruto looked towards her with a evil smirk on his face. Well then, come with me. It is time for me to get rid of this family. As Naruto started to walk down the stair, as Mito emotionlessly started to follow Naruto while in the living room of the Namikaze family, Kushina was, you can say, fussing over Manma, who seemed to have a bruise on his head. Mom, I'm alright. It was truly a mistake. My elder brother, he did not mean it at all. As Kushina was getting angrier by the second, how dare that disgrace to her precious son Manma. After all, Manma was the, you can say, joy of her life and her beloved son, even though she did not give birth to him and he was made in a laboratory, but she did not care about it. After all, she had raised him for years and Naruto was nothing but a disgrace. She didn't even know how she had given birth to such a disgrace. And while on the other hand, Minato, who was looking seriously towards Menma, after all, some of the scrolls has gone missing in his, you can say, study, and he was pretty serious about it. After all, those techniques were Rasengan and some other techniques he was working on. So, he was suspicious of Naruto at the same time, while on the other hand, Narumi was getting angrier by the second with his older sister why she has not brought that failure here, as Naruto was also present there with a, you can say, cold expression on her face. After all, they have tolerated Naruto long enough. Today, he will have to pay for his crime. As while on the other hand, finally the door opened and Naruto stepped forward as Minato looked towards Naruto. But something was off. Minato just could feel it in his bones. Something was truly off here. As Mito also stepped forward, her expression also looking angrier as she looked towards Naruto with a look of hatred. As Naruto looked towards everyone that was present there. Finally, Narumi speak up. Naruto, you bastard! How dare you hurt Menma as she tried to slap him. But to her surprise, once again, Naruto grabbed her arm and looked towards her. And with an emotionless look on his face, get lost. After saying that, he simply threw her away, shocking everyone that was present here. Even Narumi, who was a Jonin, was shocked to the point that she did not even dodge and was pushed away, surprised at the same time. After all, she did came to her senses at the last second, but she was unable to stop her body, and she was surprised as even Menma, who was, you can say, faking everything and looking towards how he would be scolded and how he would be punished once again, was also pretty shocked to see everything. As Minato's eyes narrowed as Kushina screamed up, "You beast, how dare you to lay hand on your sister and brother? It is your last opportunity, Naruto. Now, apologize to everyone, otherwise you will have to pay for your crime. I do not even know how I gave birth to such a disgrace." As Minato looked towards Naruto with emotionless eyes, ready to see him apologizing. After all, from the day Naruto was brought back, his personality was too cowardly and Minato did not like that. He was not even that of a genin level and the genin exams were already coming. So he was truly ashamed of him as Naruto looked towards Kushina with a, you can say, look that was looking towards waste, as Kushina was truly angry after seeing that look in his eyes. After all, she was a shinobi and could easily tell what other guy was thinking as she was ready to lash out. But Menma decided to put, you can say, oil in the flame, decided to speak up. "Mom, I'm sure that elder brother is just not feeling well and how he did not hurt me on purpose and I must have seen wrong when I have seen a person looking like elder brother bringing scrolls from their study out." At this, you can say everyone's eyes glared towards Naruto. After all, in their perspective, Menma was just a good boy and cared about his family too much, even though it was an obvious lie that how he was trying to cover up for Naruto as Minato speak up. Naruto, that is enough. You will not behave with your family in that tone. Now, I will give you a final opportunity. Return those scrolls to me. After all, those scrolls are not something a genuine level shinobi could handle. It will only affect you and your chakra pathways. So it is best for you to return those scrolls to me. As Naruto looked toward this family drama with amusement in his eyes, honestly, he was a demon emperor. And he didn't care about these people. They were truly weaklings in his eyes, and he could crush with a mere wave of his hand as he looked towards Minato with an amused expression on his face. Well, Lord Hokage, honestly, I do not know who called you a genius if you are so dumb and stupid. Minato was truly taken aback by this as he glared towards Naruto as Kushina decided to scream, "Beast, how dare you to talk to your father in that tone?" as she was ready to slap him to death. But Naruto looked towards her with a look which quickly froze Kushina to the point. After all, something was off. Her shinobi instinct was screaming at her not to move. While on the other hand, Minato glared towards Naruto as Naruto simply started to walk toward the study that was attached to the living room. As Naruto put a hand to the study, suddenly the seals appeared and a shock appeared in Naruto's hand, even though he didn't felt anything, but it was clear to everyone. Well, Minato-san, you're telling me that this room, which is sealed away with hundreds of seal of your master, and I am not, you can say, allowed to enter into this room. So, who told you this stupid story that I brought scrolls from your study? As Minato was truly taken aback. After all, those seals were placed by him and he did not allow Naruto to enter. After all, there was still suspicion of Orochimaru secretly controlling Naruto. So, that was the reason, but that was years ago. As I looked towards Menma, who was looking a bit, you can say, panic, but quickly came to his, you can say, senses that yeah, I told you, right? I must have seen wrong. After all, I was so dizzy when Naruto Nisan had, you can say, sparred with me and attacked me on my forehead. I must have seen wrong. As suddenly everyone's attention came to Menma and suddenly everyone started to once again glare towards Naruto. As Naruto quickly had a smirk on his face. This guy was truly deserved to be in the demon realm, but then again, if he was in the demon realm as Naruto, a cruel smirk came to his, you can say, face for a second. What would he had done with Menma? Only God knows it. As Naruto inwardly laughed, this guy is truly something else. He had quickly, you can say, relieved himself of the suspicion of lying, and now everyone's attention is on the fact that Naruto had attacked Menma and things like that, and everyone miraculously once again forgot about the whole, you can say, suspicion of Naruto stealing scrolls. As Minato glared towards Naruto, I know that you are not as talented as Menma, but there is no reason for you to sneak attack Menma in your sparring. After all, it is just a spar. As Naruto simply shook his head, honestly, who made you the Hokage? I do not even know, and I will never know. As Minato was now getting, you can say, angrier at this point. Honestly, he was always called a genius, even though he knew something was off with Menma's whole thing. After all, he was the Hokage. He was not as stupid, well, as Kushina, but he will never say that. So he knew that Menma was up to something, but he didn't care about it. After all, Menma was far too talented as Naruto, and Naruto didn't have any talent to begin with. So Minato had already chosen Menma to be the successor for the Hokage position in the future. So he simply ignored his little tricks, but the scrolls were still missing. So he had to thought something of it. But at the moment, he was getting angrier at Naruto as he glared towards him. As Kushina finally came to her senses, "Alright, Naruto, I will give you one last opportunity. Now, bow down to Menma and me and apologize. Otherwise, today is the day we will have our relationship severed here." As Naruto looked towards her. Well then, let us end our so-called relationship here. As this statement shocked everyone, even Menma was taken aback. After all, from the day Naruto was brought back, he was playing tricks, and he had already made the image of Naruto so bad in the eyes of everyone that even though he was the biological brother of Menma, of Mito, Narumi, and Naruko, and the biological son of Minato and Kushina, he was no longer, you can say, accepted in the family, and he, who was just experiment made by Orochimaru, was now the most favored one here, and he was happy to see this. After all, if Naruto is killed out, he will be the only one left as the heir to, you can say, Namikaze and Uzumaki huge estate, and you can say the scroll and the position of the Hokage, the clan head of the Uzumaki and Namikaze clan, and the huge fortune here. That will be all of his. As Menma was truly happy but was trying to look as pitiful as possible. No, elder brother, I know that I was wrong, so I will apologize to me. Even though you have attacked me by using sneak attack, I will forgive you. If you were to apologize to parents, our parents, then we will be one big family once again, as Kushina once again became angry after hearing the pitiful, you can say, pleas of her beloved brother, of her beloved son, as she glared towards Naruto. Can't you see the love we have given you, Naruto, all over the years, the food we have given you, the room and the house and the shelter, everything we have provided you, and you are truly useless. We shouldn't have brought you back and let you rot in that damn lap. As she screamed at the top of her lung. The moment she said that, you can say, look of guilt came to her eyes, but quickly shook her off. If Naruto were to apologize, she will forgive him, but at the moment, she was angry, as well as Minato, who also was looking towards Kushina but decided not to say anything. After all, he was always calm, but even he was angry at this point. After all, Naruto was not the successor he was looking for, but he was still his son, so he will give him one last opportunity to apologize. After all, the things he has done after returning back to this home was truly too much. Stealing, breaking, and you can say bullying his sisters and his brother was really too much. Just because he was jealous of Menma, he had done all of these things. As he glared towards Naruto, as Naruto looked towards him, well, dear mother, things have come to this, but then what else is there to say? I do not care about this family. Honestly, I am fed up with you guys. And what things are you talking about? The food you give me? Don't make me laugh. There is not even a seat here for me. As everyone looked towards the table, and behold, there were only so much seats here. Only 6 people could be seated at a time, and that was the family here. This really shocked Minato and everyone who was present here. But Naruto was not a guy to be, you can say, sentimental about these things. After all, he was a demon emperor, and he didn't care about these things. As he looked towards them, well, so let us end things here. As Naruto, quickly brought a paper from his, you can say, pocket and pointed towards Minato and threw a pen towards him. Well, dear father, let us end this so-called relationship right here and right now. This is a severance order. Since you are the Hokage, I'm pretty sure that you have the seal of the Hokage with you. So let us end things here. This really shocked Minato as well as everyone that was present here. As Naruto speak up, Naruto, you're going too far. How dare you try to blackmail our family? Next thing you will say that you need these type of scrolls and this much money to sever our relationship. I knew that. You're too greedy for your own good. As Naruto looked towards, you can say, Naruto, this damn bitch, so-called twin. As Naruto simply looked towards her and looked away as if he was looking towards Vase. As Naruto truly became angry at this point, while the only person who was calmly and emotionlessly looking towards Naruto was none other than Mito, but no one noticed it. Even Minato did not notice it as Minato glared towards Naruto. Naruto, you're going too far. Once I sign this, there will be nothing left for you. You will not be able to inherit the position. You will be exiled from the Uzumaki and the Namikaze clan. Do you truly want this? As Naruto simply scoffed at it. Honestly, I am not treated as a member of Uzumaki nor the Namikaze clan, and don't make me laugh. I already know that you have no intention of giving me anything. Even if you were to die today, your will only includes Menma, Mito, Narumi, and Naruto. This shocked both Kushina and Minato. After all, that was truly true. The life of a shinobi is not something to be, you can say, forever. So they have already made their will, even though Naruto was brought back, but he was still under suspicion. So in their will, there was only, you can say, these children who will be given inheritance, and they had a lot of time to change their will, but they never did to begin with. As Minato glared towards Naruto, this was a slap to his face. He was the Hokage, and this kid was telling him how to do things. As Minato was truly angry at this point, as he grabbed the paper. Alright, you want this, right? Well then, have it. As Minato quickly signed the paper and threw the paper towards Naruto. But mark my words, Naruto, since you have decided to go this far, then I, in my position as the Hokage, therefore forbid you to be a Johnny in your whole life. You will not be a shinobi of this village as long as I am the Hokage, as Minato shouted towards Naruto. He was truly angry at this point, as Naruto simply scoffed at it. Who wants to play shinobi? Honestly, he didn't care about this whole shinobi thing, and he was already leaving this despicable village to begin with, so he didn't care, as Mainma once again, who was ecstatic at this point, too happy to, you can say, do anything, as decided to once again play his drama. No, elder brother, there's still time. We can, you can say, simply throw away that document and we can be a big family. As Naruto looked towards Menma. Hey, Menma, come here. As Menma, who was confused, after all, he was never called, so you can say, affectionately by Naruto. He was confused, but for whatever reason, his, you can say, leg started to walk towards Naruto with a confused look on his face, as Menma was truly confused at this point. Why was he, you can say, walking towards Naruto, and why was he obeying him? And before anyone could say anything, a slap was heard on the face of Menma as his two teeth were broken out within a second. Never play that green tea bitch drama in front of me. I do not like it. And just like that, Naruto once again slapped Menma on the other side of the face, and two teeth once again broke out of his face, shocking everyone that was present here. As Naruto quickly, you can say, turned his back and started to walk away from the room as Naruto and Narumi rushed towards Menma as well as Kuchina. Menma, are you alright? As Menma, who was, you can say, bleeding from his mouth, was shocked at this point. He was trained by Minato, Kushina, Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Kakashi. He was, you can say, it would not be exaggeration to say that he was a Chunin level shinobi, but he was beaten so easily and he could not even feel his, you can say, cheeks at this point. Even Minato was taken aback as he was about to rush towards Menma to see if he was alright, but he had already seen the injuries on Menma. As he looked towards Naruto, he was already feeling a bit guilty about the things he has said, and he was, you can say, sure that Naruto would not be able to survive outside for much longer. The moment he apologized, he will give him some punishment and let him enter into the family once again. After all, he was his own biological son, but looking towards Menma, he was angry but confused at the same time. He already knows the training he has given to Menma and how powerful Menma truly is. Compared to Naruto, he may have used some sneak attacks before, but with a single slap, he was able to swallow his mouth to this point, as well as break his teeth as he looked towards the, you can say, disappeared form of Naruto with confusion and suspicion in his eyes. As while on the hand, Naruto was finally came outside as a figure appeared beside him. This was none other than Mito. My lord, what are my instructions? As Naruto smirked, remain in this village and keep an eye on everything. I want to know everything that goes on in the village. It is time for me to leave. After all, he still need to find the key to ascend to the second realm. From the second realm, it is easy to ascend forward. But the first realm, well, the king of this realm, the Sage of Six Paths, who has stolen the key from, you can say, Kaguya Ususuki, was already dead, even though he was so-called dead. He had not ascended into the second realm, but decided to remain in the first realm in the form of a ghost. Naruto had no way to get the key from him to ascend to the second realm. So he had to gather the power of the Jubi. Well, the power of the Jubi was nothing compared to him, but the real power remained in to enter, or rather being able to open a portal to ascend to the second realm. That is what he needed at this point. He has already gathered chakra from the Mito, two of the QB, and he will have his hand on the other part of the QB chakra. At the moment, he just need to gather the chakra of all the Bijus and being able to open the portal. Then he had to go to the demon realm. Even though he was back in time, but he was sure that his throne to the demon realm was still intact. As Naruto smirked at that, well then, I suppose it is time for me to go to the other villages. After all, I still have to explore this realm, even though the chakra and energy present in this realm was nothing and he could truly absorb it, but that will crash the whole realm down and destroy everything and his plans for the future. So he cannot do that just now. So he disappeared from Konoha and appeared on the gate of Konoha as the guards were present there and confused, looking towards Naruto. After all, they already know who Naruto was, and they already know that he was not frustrated by the family of the Hokage, so they didn't care about him as Naruto brought them the papers which has already written about how he was no longer a citizen of Konoha or the Fire Nation, so he was free to leave. This shocked both the guards there. After all, this was still the biological son of their beloved Hokage. How could he just let him be and you can say banish him from Konoha and the Fire Nation? But the seal was genuine and the chakra of the Hokage was still present in the seal. So they had no choice but to let him go and had already told this to an Ambu who will inform this to Minato. But at the moment, Minato had already brought Menma to the hospital, so he didn't care about the report of the Ambu and told them to give the report in the form of written form in his office. He will read it afterward. So the Ambus did not bother him. After all, he was the one to sign it. So he must have sent his personal Ambu to keep an eye on Naruto. So they decided to just write it off. While, on the other hand, Minato was looking towards Menma with a, you can say, calculated look in his eyes as a figure appeared beside him that was none other than Jiraiya. As Jiraiya looked towards Minato, Minato, I just heard Menma is in the hospital. Is he alright? As Minato looked towards Jiraiya, well, as you can see, he is doing just fine. At this, you can say he looked forward to see that Tsunade was healing Menma. As Tsunade was a bit confused, something was off. Something was present here. She could feel her chakra when she was trying to heal Menma, as if these injuries were not normal, but she quickly shook her head. After all, Menma was living with the Jinchurikis, so that could be the reason for it. She quickly shrugged it off. Naruto himself had some of the power of the Kyuubi, so that could be the reason for it. So she decided not to focus too much on it. While on the other hand, Jiraiya had already been informed by Minato about everything, as Jiraiya was pretty shocked to see that. Well, that are quite the guts, Minato. I must say that the brat must have snapped after years of the things that has been done to him. As Jiraiya simply shook his head as Minato quickly looked towards Menma. It seemed that the training of Menma is not going too well, Sensei. Why don't you up the training? As Jiraiya looked towards Minato. After all, both of them were not exactly fools. As good as Menma is, he was not good enough to fool them. Even though Kuchina had a lot of love for Menma, so she was easily fooled by Menma as well as their sister, but Minato was different from them, as well as Jiraiya. They were, you can say, S-rank shinobis, if not SS rank, and they could already see through the ploy of Menma. As Minato quickly shook his head, honestly, Sensei, I would have stopped it, but the kid did not have any spine to begin with. Honestly, I'm disgusted by the expression he made, always trying to please others. Does he not know that these things do not change their perspective? Only hard work and you can say achievements are the only thing that are able to change the mind of the villagers and the minds of Kushina and his siblings. As Jiraiya shook his head, well, Minato, honestly, you're too cruel on him. As Minato shook his head, do not worry, Sensei. I'm pretty sure that after some days, he will come back begging, and this time I will give him some punishment and maybe some scrolls to train on. Have you gotten the scroll that Menma hid? At this, Jiraiya simply nodded at that, bringing out the scroll of the Rasengan and the upgraded version he was working on. As Minato quickly shook his head, if he wants to learn it, he just need to ask it. As Jiraiya sighed, you already know their relationship about Menma playing tricks on Naruto and all that. As Minato simply nodded at it, but he truly didn't care about it. After all, he was the Hokage. His first priority is the village. If Menma become good in skills and you can say in politics by playing these tricks, then it just shows that he was a good politician and good role to be the Hokage in the future. If Naruto had played the same tricks and used some means to counterattack it, that would have been good training. After all, no harm is being done there. So Minato decided not to, you can say, enter into the fray. Kushina was just simply too stupid and he didn't care about it. As he said, Well, Sensei, do not worry about it. What are the reports I have told you about? What of the Akatsuki? At this, Jiraiya decided to give his report about the Akatsuki and the things that are going on in the Elemental Nation as Minato simply nodded at it. While on the other hand, Kushina was screaming at the top of her lung, "How dare that beast lay hand on my beloved Menma? He will pay. Mark my words, Mito. He will pay." As Mito simply nodded at it. "Do not worry, Mom. I will personally teach him a lesson when the time comes," as Kushina simply nodded at it, while on the other hand, Minato finally arrived along with Jiraiya as Tsunade came out. "Alright, Kushina, I have already healed him." As Naruto simply nodded at that, as Tsunade spoke up, "Well, these are the injuries, so he should be able to be fine by tomorrow. I have already put his teeth back, so do not worry, Kushina." As Kushina simply nodded at it as she rushed inside of the room and ready to coax Menma, while on the other hand, Menma was looking as pitiful as possible, and Kushina was already, you can say, swearing that how Naruto will pay for his crimes, while on the other hand, you can say Narumi, Naruko, and Mito also decided to enter into the room as Tsunade looked towards, you can say, Minato. "Well, Minato, I have already been told everything by Kushina. It seemed that things has gone to this point," as Minato simply shook his head. "Do not worry, Tsunade-sama. I'm pretty sure that he will return back, and once he apologizes, I will obviously forgive him. After all, even though he's pretty useless, but he's still my biological son, so nothing could be done about it." As Tsunade simply nodded and sighed. "I have already told you, Minato, there is no seal on Naruto's body. There is no, you can say, genjutsu place on his mind, and there is no need for you to be suspicious that there is something done to him by Orochimaru. There are only, you can say, minor experiments done on him to enhance his strength and all that. Other than that, there is nothing, but you're already too suspicious." As Minato shook his head, "I am already convinced after years of observing him that there is no, you can say, Orochimaru is not using him for his own advantages. It seems that Orochimaru, we have already gotten information from it." As Tsunade simply sighed, "Well, it is your clan matter, so I will not interfere too much, Minato, but do care about it. After all, you are his father." As Minato simply nodded and entered into the room as he looked towards Menma, who was trying to look as beautiful as possible. As Minato simply shook his head at it, while on the other hand, Naruto, who was now at the moment flying in the air, he had already passed through the Fire Nation. Honestly, this realm was truly too weak, but the rules of the realms were still applied to him. He was at the moment strongest being here, but he was not at his strongest. After all, he was in the lowest realm, so the rules of the upper realm still applied to him. His strength was suppressed. Otherwise, if he were to fully power up his full power, this whole realm would simply explode. So he was suppressed here, and even if the beings of the upper realms were to come here, their strength would also be suppressed by the laws of this realm. As Naruto finally appeared to the place where he was already sensing the power of, you can say, one part of the Jubi, as he looked towards the direction, that was the direction of the hidden mist village. As Naruto smirked at it, "Well, Kurama, do you want to meet your dear siblings again?" As Kurama, who was truly looking demonic at this point, had an evil smirk on his face. "Well, if I'm not mistaken, that should be Three Tails." As Naruto simply smirked at it, "Well then, let us go to the party. I can already tell there are a lot of delicious cuisines present for us." As Naruto smirked at it, as his eyes turned pure pitch black with red pupil inside, as he disappeared violently as he appeared in the edge of the mist village. While at the moment in the mist village, Mate Rumi was panting hard. After all, she was fighting for almost for an hour, and she was already depleting on all of her chakra. Looking around, there were bodies everywhere. This was the civil war of the hidden mist village, and at the moment they were fighting against Yagura, and she had to come up with something, otherwise she will die here, and her, you can say, so-called rebellion will also end here. She had already asked for help from everyone, but no one had helped her. Even the so-called, you can say, peaceful village of Konoha had demanded too much from her to simply give in. And at the moment, she was truly at her last leg as she looked towards, you can say, Yagura, who was looking towards me with a, you can say, arrogant smirk on his face. Three Tails were behind him on the first form of the first cloak of the demon transformation as he smirked towards me. Huh, well, bloodlines come. It is time for you to die. I always wanted to end this so-called bloodline tradition, and with you, our village will truly be free of this abomination. And mark my word, after I'm done here, I will purge this world of you bloodline scums, no matter what. As he started to laugh afterward, around him were the elites of the mist village looking towards Mito, ready to end her. You know, I always wanted to see what the maniac of the Mist Village looked like. So you are truly a midget, huh? As everyone looked upward to see where the voice was coming from, but to their surprise, one figure was floating in the air. This was none other than Naruto, who was present here. Everyone was surprised after all. It has been the first time they have seen someone flying. As Mate Romi was looking towards Naruto, something was off. She could not feel any chakra, but that sense of oppression, even though she was so near to Yagura, who was still in the form of Three Tail, was present here. But once again, this surge of, you could say, oppression over the whole village, it was truly something else. She could not, you could say, put her finger to it, but something was truly off here. As Naruto started to descend down to the ground, as they looked towards everyone, this almost brought memories back of the demon realm. But it doesn't matter, this doesn't even come near it. Maybe I will bring you back as a pet when I return back to the demon realm so that you can see true misery. At this, you can see Yagura, who was confused, and glared towards Naruto. I do not know who you are, but I can tell that you're a bloodline user. So, since you have come here to help the bloodline users, why don't you die with them? After saying that, he gave a signal as all the elite shinobis around him rushed towards Naruto. As Naruto looked towards them, after fighting demons, after fighting the beings of the realms, the 8th, the 7th, the ninth realm, fighting you guys is truly insulting from me. But oh well, some things cannot be avoided. And just like that, Naruto snapped his finger, the portal started to appear behind him. Hundreds and thousands of dark looking swords appear from it. You should be careful. After all, these swords are cursed. After saying that, the swords started to move towards shinobis with blinding speeds, as this was, you can say, the speed uncomparable to the realms. And just like that, before the shinobis could even blink or do something or perform any jutsu, their bodies were already cut. Even a single cut was more than enough. After all, these swords were cursed, and if you were not to die directly, then your fate is truly miserable by the curse that is placed upon these swords. And just like that, the hundreds of shinobis that were behind Yagura were slaughtered within seconds, as Yagura was truly taken aback. Even he wanted to move to defend his shinobi, but his body would not allow him. Something was off. There was a feeling around him, especially those swords, but telling him not to move. Otherwise, he doubted that even the shell of the Three Tail would be able to protect him from it. Something was truly off, while on the other hand, in the dimension of Kamui, Obito's eyes suddenly snapped open. He was confused. Something was going on in the Mist Village. His control over Yagura was waving for whatever reason. It was not like Yagura was trying to break it, but something else was interfering with it. As he closes his eye and started to teleport, but suddenly, you can say, purple lightning appeared out of nowhere and his eyes were almost destroyed. He was shocked. He was unable to teleport to the location of the hidden mist village. That was because all of the hidden mist village at the moment was surrounded by the demonic energy that was being released by Naruto's body, and the, you can say, the pitiful attempt of opening a portal to enter in the mist village when so much demonic energy is present there was truly a death wish for anyone. Even Minato's flying Raijin would not be able to teleport there because of the amount of energy that is present there at the moment. As you can say, Naruto looked towards Yagura, who was now shaking in utter shock. Even Midorumi and her companion were looking towards Naruto as if they were looking toward a demon. As Naruto did not stop even when the shinobis has given up. As Naruto's sword was still moving at blinding speeds, killing everyone it was seeing. As Naruto looked towards Yagura as an evil smirk came to his face, that is not even a half of appetite of mine. The things I have done in the other realms. You should have seen it. Well, do not worry. Once I bring you back as my personal pet in the demon realm, you will see it with your own eyes, the amount of suffering and misery present there. As Naruto, after saying that, burst into laughter. As you can say, Naruto looked towards Yagura. Why don't you bring out your tail beast? After all, I don't want to play with that little turtle. As Yagura gritted his teeth, his people, his shinobis were killed off so easily. He was mocked by this guy who was babbling about Demon Realm. He didn't care about anything. This guy will pay no matter what. He will pay as a scream in his mind, and just like that, he let out a scream. His whole body exploded with, you can say, chakra. And just like that, the fully form of the three-tailed state has appeared. As you can say, Jagra glared towards Naruto, his one big eye. The gigantic turtle has appeared as the shinobis of Mei. Terumi started to rush back and started to support Mei Terumi. After all, they were already too injured and they cannot interfere in the battle where a Biju had appeared as Mei was looking towards Naruto, even though a fully formed Biju has appeared here, but something was telling her. As something was telling her that things are not gonna be that simple. As Naruto looked towards the transformed form of the three-tail with the amused expression on his face. Even though he was limited by the loss of this realm, he could not use his full power, but this was a powerful being in this realm, truly pitiful. As Naruto simply laughed at it. As Three-Tail opened his mouth, you will pay for your crimes. You will pay for crossing me. How dare you to kill my shinobi? How dare you to cross me? You will pay. After saying that, he opened his mouth, and just like that, a gigantic form of a Bijudama had appeared as he released it towards Naruto, not even caring that he was at the moment in his own village and this attack would damage his own village. As he released it toward Naruto, as Naruto looked towards the coming attack. Pitiful. After saying that, Naruto simply pointed his hand towards it, and just like that, the whole attack stopped for a second, and just like that, shrinked and shrinked and shrinked, and just like that, disappeared. As Naruto looked toward the three-tail, you're not even worthy of me looking at you, but I have someone who want to meet you. Well then, why don't you say hello to your older brother? Summoning. After saying that, Naruto put his hand to the ground, and just like that, a oppressive feeling so intense spread across the whole village. No, not the whole village, the whole nation, even the other villages stopped for a second. The amount of energy they were sensing, it was not chakra, it was so corrupted, it was so evil that everyone stopped. Even Konoha had felt for another second that the QB was once again back as Minato, as everyone was taken aback. The amount of power they were sensing, it was truly something else, as everyone looked in the direction from where this power was coming from, and only one word came to their mind: the hidden mist village. But unfortunately for them, they were unable to find out. After all, hidden mist village is on the other side of the sea. And it is not that easy for people to get information about it, especially when it is in the midst of, you can say, a civil war. While on the other hand, Naruto, who was now at the standing on the head of a gigantic figure, this figure was far greater than any Biju. It was even bigger than the Ten Tails, at least three times the size of the Ten Tail. As Kurama looked towards the, you can say, sky and let out a roar. He was not like his previous self. No, he had, you can say, at least hundreds of tails behind him. On his head, there were two, you can say, gigantic horns. In his eyes were the, you can say, black pitch Rene Sharingan, and on his forehead was another form of a, you can say, dojutsu. That was a demonic dojutsu. As he let out a roar, as the whole village shook so violently that everything was literally destroyed. As Meterumi could not believe her eyes. What was it? This was not a Biju. It simply cannot be. Even the QB was not as powerful as this being. who was this guy, and she was truly scared for her village at this point as Naruto looked towards the direction of the three tail while inside of the head of the three tail something just snapped. The genjutsu that was placed upon him was shaking violently, but the three tail was able to come out of the genjutsu, but Jagura was still inside of it as three tail was confused. But then it looked outside. Was this Kurama? No, it was not possible. This power, it was so corrupted. Not even Kurama's chakra was that much filled with hatred and corruption. It was simply impossible. And this power, it was even greater than that of the Jubi. How is this even possible? While in this in name, you can say unknown place, two eyes suddenly snapped open in utter shock. This was none other than the eyes of the sage of Six Paths, who was confused at this point. What was going on here? How could he sense this kind of power in a lowest realm? It was simply not possible. Could it be that a being of a upper realm had descended into the elemental nations? No, it was not possible. After all, he would have known it. After all, he was king here, even though he was dead. But he still held the key. No one can come to the lowest realm without the use of the key. The gates were closed eons ago, so it was not possible. What was going on here? As while on the other hand, Naruto, who was, you can say, looking upward into the sky, still not coming out, Well, I knew that it would not be that easy to get my hands on the key. Well, do not worry, I will get my hand on the key. After all, I do want to ascend to the upper realm, and without the key, I will not be able to open the portal or the gates. But do not worry, I will get it, one way or another. As Naruto looked down towards the scared farm of the three tail. Let's play with it, wouldn't you agree, partner? After saying that, Kurama let out a roar once again and bounced at the three tail. One with a single, you can say, swipe of his hand, three tail was thrown into the sky and toward the sea as Kurama opened his mouth. He didn't care that if this was his so-called sibling. No, he was truly a demon now. So why would he care about a pitiful, you can say, form of his, you can say, another Biju as he opened his mouth as dark red energy slapped into the form of the three tail, and just like that, it turned into nothingness. As Naruto simply shook his head, I wanted to bring him back as my pet, but then again, he was simply too weak to be any interest to me. As Kurama smirked at it as he opened his mouth, the residue chakra of the three tail rushed towards Kurama and it was eaten away. That was not even a snack. After saying that, it disappeared. As Naruto, who was now flying in the air, looked toward the sky and started to laugh. I knew that you wouldn't come, but do not worry. I have other ways to get my hand on what I want. After saying that, he looked toward downward. There were only so pitiful amount of shinobis that were present here. This fight had already ended the hidden mist village and he didn't care about it as he simply shook his head and flew away. But before moving away, he looked toward the farm of Mito and a devilish smirk came to his face. Suddenly, his eyes glowed for a second and Mito's eyes glowed at the same time and a seal appeared on her forehead, but it disappeared at the same time. As Naruto once again decided to leave for now, after all, there are other things he need to take care of. While on the other hand, the shinobis all across the elemental nations were deployed at the same time. The amount of power they had sensed, it was out of this world. It was so intense that it was sensed all across the elemental nation. People were scared at this point, wondering if it was some kind of new biju or some kind of experiment. They have to get the information. They didn't care that the hidden mist village was now in the midst of a civil war. They have to get that information, otherwise all of the elemental nation would be in big trouble. And among the confusion and all the panic, the news of Naruto leaving the village had already been suppressed on the piles and piles and piles of the paperwork that was placed upon, you can say, Minato's desk, and he was being busy commanding the shinobis to get the information. Even Jiraiya had left the village to get the information. But there will be nothing that would be fine. While in the Hidden Mist village, the camp of the Hidden Mist village was already filled with bodies as Mitorumi was standing there with an emotionless look on her face. She has already killed off the remaining shinobis that were present here, and the Hidden Mist village was truly dead. And Meterumi's eyes glowed red for a second, and a portal appeared as she entered inside of it. While on the other hand, Naruto, who was now flying in the air, smirked at it. He has already gotten the information. Well, he would like to play with the elemental nations for now. It was not time for him to reveal himself just yet. As he smirked at it, after all, it is time for him to play some politics with his dear family, as he decided to arrive in the fire capital and decided to put roots in the Fire Nation and the other nations as well. After all, he is not going to end things just like that. After all, there is a lot of time for him to ascend to the second realm, and there is no one who can stop him. Even the beings of the upper realms would not be able to stop him. After all, he already knew that sage will try some tricks like opening the door so that some other upper beings could come here to stop him. But the moment the door will be open, Naruto will know it, and he didn't care about the beings of the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, even the eighth rank beings were not a threat to him. And if they were to come, they would only be, you can say, a nourishment for his power to advance even further, as not to smirk at it. While on the other hand, now, let us get back to the Fire Nation. The Fire Hall, or rather, the court of the Imperial Lord of the Fire Nation, the Fire Daimyo. At the moment, they were discussing the, you can say, usual politics and things like that. The Elemental Nation is divided into two parts. The military part, that is Shinobi, and the other, the ruling party, that is going to be Fire Daimyo or the other Daimyos. While the, you can say, hidden villages can support themselves by using the whole mission thing, but they do get some budget from the Fire Nation or their respective nation for help. If the Fire Nation or a nation were to cut off the budget to a hidden village, the hidden village would be able to survive for some time, but it would make the civilians that are living there quite difficult to live off. After all, they do get a lot of supplies from outside, so it is estimated that the, you can say, the parties of civilian would not be able to survive more than 3 years in a hidden village without the help of the imperial help. So the relationship between both of them are rather good. But it is to be said that the thing about the clan first and, you can say, village second is quite common. Even Minato, who was the Hokage, had worked hard to bring Namikaze clan to a higher standard, as well as the Uzumaki clan. When third Hokage took the seat, the Saitobi clan nourished, while on the other hand, Senju clan simply disappeared because Saitobi Hiruzen thought that if the Senjus were to remain back, then once again they will try to take the position from him and challenge his authority as the Hokage. So he decided to get rid of the Senju clan as soon as possible. And these are things common at the moment. Naruto, who was now flying in the air, decided to play with his family and dear father. At the moment, the court was in full session. Suddenly, the roof exploded as everyone was shocked. The shinobis who were secretly assigned to protect the fire daimyo as well as the samurai of fire daimyo appeared, as Naruto, who was now flying in the air, simply descended as everyone was scared and confused at the same time, as they were wondering who this guy was, who was looking like the fourth Hokage. As the fire daimyo speak up, fourth Hokage, what are you doing here? But his advisors speak up, Lord Daimyo, he's not the fourth Hokage, who are you? As some of the shinobis recognized him, but Naruto simply shook his head. Honestly, these people were so pitiful. He did not want to waste his time with them. As Naruto opened his eyes and his eyes glowed red. And just like that, everyone stopped there and started to kneel towards Naruto. My lord, what are your instructions? As Naruto smirked at it. Well then, dear father, let's see how long the Namikaze, the glory of the Namikaze and Uzumaki clan can last. As Naruto started to laugh and disappeared from there, while on the other hand, the same scene was happening all across the, you can say, the lightning country, the water country, and all the other countries. Naruto had taken control of the, you can say, the royal families of these nations, and now he was in command, and he had gave one instruction and one only, and that is to target the Namikaze and Uzumaki family industries. As Naruto smirked at it. Well, dear father, it seems that the ball is now in your court. Let's see how long the glory that you have worked so hard to bring can last. And if your position as the Hokage can lose, I do hope that it does. After all, it wouldn't be much fun if you were to be defeated that easily. And my dearest brother Menma, let's see what is there for you to inherit after I'm done with your pitiful family. As Naruto started to laugh afterward. After all, his plans are not limited to just these things. After all, soon enough, he was sure that the door to the upper realm will open and he will ascend forward and forward as Naruto smirked at it. All the elemental nations started to search for the source of the energy source, but when they finally arrived to the hidden mist village, the only thing they saw were utter ruins as everyone was shocked. At this point, the shinobis of the hidden rock village, the hidden lightning village, and the hidden sand village, as well as Konoha shinobi like Jiraiya, had already arrived as they looked towards each other, even though they were enemies with each other. But at this point, they knew that why these people were here and decided to ignore it for now, as Jiraiya was truly shocked to see the amount of destruction that was caused here. He was truly confused. The amount of power he has sensed, it was far beyond that, was even that of the level of QB, and he was scared. He wanted to know what was going on here. After all, his spy network has not picked up anything. The remaining spies that were here, he had already sent them signal, but they have not returned anything, which means that they were either dead or, well, either dead. Anyways, he decided to search for signs as well as the other shinobis were doing the same, trying to find anything, but they only saw ruins and ruins, not even the scrolls and the hidden secret of the hidden mist village, but already gone, buried with the village, as Jiraiya simply shook his head. There were so many, you can say, dead bodies, and he wasn't able to find any clues about what was going on here, as he simply sighed and decided to, you can say, reverse summon himself back towards Konoha. At this point, Minato, who was looking towards some of the paperwork that was in front of him, with a bored expression on his face, things were not going exactly as he wanted, for whatever reason. Naruto had not returned back to beg for forgiveness. He was sure that Naruto would return. After all, he was too cowardly. He did not have much skills, and graduation exam was already approaching soon enough. So he was pretty sure that Naruto would return back. But at the moment, his mind was not on him, but rather on the things that were going on in the Elemental Nation. He had already decided Jiraiya to investigate about the matter, and he was sure that soon enough he will get the information what he wanted. And just like that, a puff of smoke appeared in the office of the Hokage as Minato looked forward. After all, he could already tell who this guy was, as it was none other than Jiraiya, who appeared as he looked towards Minato. Well, it seemed that I finally returned back to Konoha. Wouldn't you give me a hug, my dear pupil? At this, you can say, Minato looked toward Jiraiya with a bored expression on his face. Well, you're getting boring by the day, Minato. But anyways, I have completed my investigation, and here's the report. As Jiraiya threw Minato a scroll, as Minato grabbed it and opened it and started to read it. Are you sure about it, Sensei? As Minato was a bit confused and surprised at the same time. As Jiraiya simply nodded at that. Well, Minato, I'm unable to find anything, not even scrolls and things like that. It seemed that someone has already cleaned things up there. As Minato simply nodded at it. What do you think? What is going on here, Sensei? And what of the Jinchuri case? At this, Jiraiya shook his head. I was unable to find the body of Yagura, and I think that it was Yagura who had done it. As Minato thought it for some time, but simply shook his head. I do not believe so, Sensei. Even if it was Yagura, he must have had the help of someone else. After all, the tree tail is powerful, but it is not that powerful, and the amount of power I had sensed, it was not just chakra. Otherwise, I would have been able to tell it. It was even stronger than QB, and that is troublesome for us. After all, we do have Jinchuri case, who can use the power of the QB, but they cannot use it completely. And if a being that is even powerful than QB exists in the Elemental Nation, we should capture it as soon as possible. Otherwise, it would be too much trouble for us. As Jiraiya thought it for some time but nodded nonetheless. Do not worry, Minato. I have already told my spies to keep an eye on things. I do believe that Akatsuki is involved in this matter. As Minato nodded at it. Then tell your spies to keep an eye on this organization. If they have this kind of, you can say, firepower, then we should keep them in check as soon as possible. As Jiraiya simply nodded at it. While on the other hand, a shinobi quickly, you can say, slam open the door as he looked towards Minato, pretty, you can say, looking panicking as Minato was a bit surprised. After all, this shinobi, he already knew who this guy was. After all, he had a lot of business all across the elemental nation and he needed people to take care of it. So this guy was one of the managers he had hired to use it for his own advantage as he looked towards him, wondering what this guy was here for. As the shinobi saluted Minato and Jiraiya, as Jiraiya said, "Huh, well, Minato, take care of your business." After saying that, he sent away as Minato nodded and looked towards the shinobi. So what do you have to tell me? I have already told you. Give me the report after the end of the month. Is there anything important? At this, the shinobi panted and sweating hard as he said, well, Lord Hokage, we do have some trouble. As after saying that, he brought a scroll and gave it to Minato, who was a bit confused. After all, he was the Hokage, who could dare mess with his business? It must be those damn Uchihas playing tricks again, as Minato thought in his mind, but quickly grabbed the scroll and opened it, but his eyes suddenly snapped open. How could this be? As he looked towards the scroll, this was the report of the corruption that was, you can say, charges filed on his industries that were present in the fire capital, and all of them were now under investigation and shut down. That has made him huge loss of millions of yuan. He could not millions of ryu. He could not believe it. As he looked toward the shinobi, what is the meaning of this? As the shinobi gulped a little, well, Lord Hokage, some of the ministers present in the fire daimyo court has found some of the, you can say, materials we were using for the products to be troublesome, and they have started to make problems for us. As Minato was angry at this point, that was, you can say, his industry. Who could dare touch it? He was the Hokage, damn it. And he glared towards him. Alright, send a message to those damn ministers to back off, otherwise, at this, the shinobi, you can say, gulp a little, well, Lord Hokage, that would be troublesome. As he gave another, you can say, piece of information to Minato that those were the highest advisors of the fire daimyo, and you can say a lot of proof has been gathered against those industries and made public at this point. Minato was getting angrier, and just like he thought, a Ambu landed beside Minato. Lord Hokage, the council has been summoned and they are requesting your presence. As Minato glared towards the Ambu, who was obviously a member of a root, but decided not to say anything as he flashed away inside of the council room. He has to get the hang of it. Whoever this guy was, whoever was targeting him, he will pay for it. Those damn Uchihas, Danzo, elders, who could they be? After all, it was a unwritten rule. Whoever clans was in power would, you can say, use it for the prestige of their own clan. After all, the Saitobi clan, the Senju clan, and now the Uzumaki Namikaze clan was present here. As he was sure that the Uchihas and Hyugas must be behind it. After all, they were hidden rivals. After all, if it was not of interest, then all the clans would work together for the betterment of the village. No, they had their own interests, they had their own industry in the whole elemental nation, and they are secretly competing with each other. That is why there is so much hatred even among the clans, and there are allies and not allies in, or rather enemies, even among a village's clans. As Minato finally arrived, as he looked towards the members that were present here and the civilian council members who were sweating at this point. After all, the civilian council, especially working for Minato, after all, he needs those industries to take care of things, and these people wanted to, you can say, help the Hokage, rather, you can say, make good relationship with the Hokage so that they can promote their own industries. At this, Minato decided to take his place and look towards the council. Can I ask what is the reason for this council meeting? As Shikaku Nara coughed a little, well, Lord Hokage, all of us have sensed the, you can say, amount of power that was sensed in the direction of the hidden mist valley. We just want to know if Lord Jiraiya had found anything. As Minato sighed and decided to give the report and the scroll which Jiraiya had given to him, as they were pretty surprised to get this kind of information. After all, a hidden village, even though it was weakened by the civil war, had disappeared just like that. How is this even possible? As Danzo spoke up. Well, Hidden Mist Village was just a weak village. It is a pity that so many bloodlines are lost, but In front of Konoha, it was nothing to begin with, as many of the clan members simply nodded at it, and even Minato secretly agreed with it. After all, Hidden Mist Village has been weakened for such a long time, their own bloodlines were taken away by their own cage. So much foolishness, but he will not say it openly. At this, you can say Minato said, if it is all, then Lord Jiraiya is already searching for the clues. I would like to dismiss, but before he could say that, you can say Elder spoke up. This was none other than Koharu. Well, Lord Hokage, we want to show our condolences. After all, we have gotten the report from the Fire Daimyo about some of the industries that are under the leadership of some of our, you can say, Konoha members who are now under investigation. As Minato glared towards Koharu, who was looking towards him smugly. Do not worry, Elder. After all, this is Fire Nation and this is Konoha, and we will always uphold justice and, you can say, honesty. After saying that, alright, this meeting is adjourned. As Minato stood up, as he looked toward the smug looks on the faces of many of the clan members, especially Uchiha and Hyuga, were especially looking smug. As Minato gritted his teeth and flashed away, he would need to put some pressure on these clans, but if they were to band together, it would make the situation a bit too much for him to handle for now. But for now, he needs to take care of something, so he disappeared. As many of the clan members were looking pretty happy about it at this point. After all, their own industries were making progress, and if Minato is suppressed by whoever the guy is doing so, then it would only bring profits to their respective clans. While, on the other hand, Naruto, who was at the moment flying over the hidden rock village with a smirk on his face, he could feel two powerful, you can say, chakras in it. The part of the keys were present here. As not to smirk at it, it is time for him to gather these parts to collect all the 9 parts of the key to open the door for the second realm for him to ascend. As Naruto smirked and finally decided to land with a explosive entry. While in the Hidden Rock village, everything was going calmly as the shinobis were doing their regular mission, but something was off in the sky. It was like a meteor was coming down. As people were surprised, the shinobis quickly started to evacuate them and started to go through hand sign, thinking that it was a meteor which was coming to the earth. So they decided to make a gigantic dome over the Hidden Rock village, ready to defend their home. But to their utter shock, the dome shattered before it was even make contact with this so-called meteor, and just like that, a huge explosion took place as everything was blown away. In the center of it all, Naruto was standing there. Well then, I suppose it is time for me to have a bit of fun. As Naruto looked forward to see that he was already surrounded by hundreds of shinobi, the Tsuchikage had already arrived, Onoki, who was doing his paperwork, but he saw that some, you can say, meteor report came. He was just ready to destroy it with his dust release, but it has already landed and crash landed. But when he saw that it was not a meteor but a person, he was angry, thinking that how dare a village to attack his village. He will teach them a lesson. But when he saw the features of this guy, he was truly angry about it. After all, it was almost like the fourth Hokage, so his mind had already brought up the answer. Naruto Namikaze, the disgrace of the Namikaze clan. Why is this guy here, and how did he arrive here in such a manner? As he glared towards Naruto, who finally stood up. Well then, it is time for me to have a bit of fun. As Naruto looked toward Roshi and Han, who were present here, as the devilish smirk came to Naruto's face. Well then, let us have fun. As after saying that, Naruto started to fly in the air as Onoki appeared in front of Naruto. You boy, how dare you to come here? Is Konoha so daring to think that you alone can handle me? It is time for me to teach you a lesson. As Naruto looked towards Onoki, just an old fool. But then again, I am old as well. But who cares? As Naruto pointed his finger towards him, I do not have any interest in you, you old fossil. So why don't you get lost and let me have what I want? From here, as Onoki grated his teeth, how dare you to scold me like this, brat? I will teach you a lesson which your father failed to teach you. And just like that, particle style appeared in his hand. Now disappear, particle style. particle release, and just like that, he releases his attack towards Naruto, who looked towards the attack with a bored expression on his face. As Naruto simply waved his hand and energy stopped. As Naruto pointed his hand, and just like that, the energy split into hundreds of parts and rushed toward the shinobis who were just watching the whole battle. As Onoki was truly shocked, he could not control his attack. It was like his attack was being controlled by Naruto. And just like that, the shinobis tried to dodge it. But for whatever reason, these attacks were a lot faster than when Anoke released it. And just like that, the attack started to hit these shinobis to the vital point and started to end them so quickly as Anoki was in utter shock as he tried to stop the attack. But he was unable to do so as if all of his energy was converting into the particle style and being, you can say, released from his body forcefully as Naruto looked towards Inoki with a devilish look on his face as Inoki was trying to stop the attack, trying to stop the, you can say, conversion of his chakra, but it was not stopping. And just like that, within minutes, his, you can say, vitality was sucked out of his body as Naruto simply threw the half-dead body of Anoki away, not caring about the damn fossil. As Naruto looked down to see that many of the shinobis were already taken care of, Han and Roshi were able to dodge it. Well, it is not that they were able to dodge it, but rather Naruto did not target them after all. He did not want to end them just yet. After all, the key was still inside of them and he needed to get his hand on it to open the damn door to the second realm. As Naruto smirked at it and appeared in front of Han and Roshi, who had already entered into their respective first form of the Biju form, as Naruto kicked both of them outside of the village. As Naruto also appeared there. I have already ended a village. I do not want to end another one. After all, there's still a lot of fun to have in the future. I'm pretty sure that that old fossil will come back for revenge. It is time for me to have a bit of name in the Elemental Nation. As Naruto looked towards Han and Roshi, who stood up, and their injuries are already healed. As Roshi speak up, I do not know who you are, but you will pay for it, brat. I will protect my village and will not allow you to harm any more people than you already have. After saying that, his chakra exploded as he entered into the second form of Biju transformation, as Han also started to get released from steam from his body as he released a steam attack towards Naruto, as Naruto simply had an amused expression on his face as he dodged it, and just like he expected, Roshi appeared in front of him with his, you can say, chakra fist ready to slam it on Naruto's face. But Naruto simply grabbed it and, you can say, moved it away from his body as both Han and Roshi powered up their full power forms and rushed towards Naruto as Naruto was simply dancing and, you can say, dodging all of their attacks with a bored expression on his face. Well, boys, keep it up. Maybe you'll be able to touch me after all. As Naruto was able to dodge all of their attacks like it was nothing. Well then, let me try something. After saying that, Naruto moved his hand and just like that, the whole sky turned dark red for a second as both, you can say, Han and Roshi stopped. They could feel the intense killing attack intent that was coming from that portal as Naruto put his hand in the portal and started to release his hand, and just like that a blood red sword appeared in Naruto's hand as Naruto looked toward the sword. Well, I cannot use my, you can say, full power weapon, but this should do. After all, it is, you can say, the 20th most powerful weapon I have. Well, it should be able to take care of you insects. So let us start our battle, shall we? As after saying that, Naruto simply casually moved the sword as an intense, you could say, shock of red energy was released from it as the whole, you could say, ground was split in half as the shockwave did not stop as he entered in the hidden rock village, and just like that, the hidden rock village was cut in half in both sides. As Naruto said, oops, well, it doesn't matter, what is done is done. As Naruto looked towards Han and Roshi with a smirk on his face. Well then, let us begin. As after saying that, Naruto disappeared as he appeared on the back of Roshi as Naruto casually swung his sword as Roshi let out a scream of pure pain and agony. All four of his tails were cut off and they were flying in the air as Naruto pointed his hand towards the tails, which turned into chakra and absorbed in Naruto's body as Naruto simply nodded at it. And once again, he appeared in front of Roshi, who let out a scream of pain. All of his chakra was being absorbed from his body, and just like that, within seconds, his body had turned into that of a husk. Asnarto threw it away and walked towards Han, who was now scared and quickly entered into the full Biju form and opened his mouth to power up a Biju Rama. But Naruto was bored at this point. As Naruto casually swung his sword, the Biju Rama was cut in half before it was even prepared, and the whole body of the Biju was also cut in half. And just like that, the chakra once again turned into pure misty form and rushed towards Naruto as Naruto absorbed it, and just like it, he had already absorbed the other parts of the key as well. As Naruto smirked at that and disappeared, soon enough his name would appear in the Elemental Nation, all of the bingo books, and the people will know the glory he has gathered here. Even though he didn't care much about these things, after all, he was a being, he was the demon emperor far above this realm, but it would be fun to see the faces of his beloved family. After all, it is time for him to pay a visit to Konoha soon enough. As Naruto smirked at it, while inside Kurama, who was watching this, was also amused. They have already gathered 3 parts, or rather 4 parts of the key. Soon enough, they should be able to gather the other 5 parts and open the gate to the second realm. From above which it is easy to ascend. Just because the old man is dead, that is making things difficult here for them to gather the key, which was split in so many parts. As Kyuubi simply nodded at that, he would have thought that the old man loved these bijus like his own sons, but who knew that he was just simply using them for their own advantage. As Kurama simply shook his head, while inside Konoha, Minato slammed his fist on the table. Another report. His, you can say, industries were not only targeted in Konoha and the Fire Nation, but in other nations as well. Even though those industries were not specifically on his name, but he was, you can say, everyone who had some knowledge knew that he was the one behind it, but all of them were now targeted. Even in the Lightning Country, his industries were targeted all over the place, and he was angry about it. He was sure that those damn Uchihas were behind it. It seemed that he need to take action against those people and show them who was their leader, who was the Hokage. And suddenly the door opened as Menma stepped forward. Dad, you promised to teach me the next form of the Rasengan. So mom told me to, you can say, ask you for but before he could complete his sentence, as Minato glared towards him. I do not have time for this, man, mom. And train with your sibling. Your graduation exam is coming, so take care of it. For now, leave. At this, Menma was taken aback. He was about to say something, but Minato gave him a look as Menma shut his mouth and decided to leave. And you can say, close the door. Damn it, who do you think you are? When you will be on your deathbed, I will make sure to remove your oxygen mask, as Menma thought in his mind and created his state. He was already doing his best acting, but he was, you can say, always suspicious that Minato did not buy it. And he was, you can say, very concerned about it, but he already had Kushina and his siblings under his command, so he was sure that in the future he will be the head of the Uzumaki and the Namikaze family, as a smirk at it. But hey guys, here I'm gonna end this part. Hopefully you guys like it. For the next part, the like goal is 200 likes, 80 comments, do that and I shall upload the next part as soon as possible. And yeah guys, please subscribe to my manhwa channel, as I'm working hard on it as well, and you guys subscribing would be really appreciated. So please guys, subscribe and peace. See you soon.